Hey everybody, how's it going out there? This is Peak out here in Singapore again. And it's super late night, it's about 2 o'clock in the morning, and I'm wide awake. I've been reflecting a lot, as always, always, always. I love having my conversations. I love reading. I love absorbing new information. I love watching all of y'all posts. I love discovering new posts, and everything comes together. Everything comes together a lot clearer now because more and more I'm learning who I am and what I love, and I'm enjoying what I do. I'm not so worried about what I do and how I do it anymore. I'm leaning into it. I'm enjoying what I do. I'm letting life kind of just take me. Hey, Anitra. And I wanted to talk to you today about intuitive coaching. It's not that I've been doing this 1,000 years, but I do know people. I've been watching people all my life. And the reason I even started watching people is because I couldn't for the life of me understand why certain people in my family, in my circle, at a young age, behaved the way that they did. I couldn't understand why I wasn't good enough, or I couldn't please these certain people, or what was it that, that turned them off when it came to me. And it was something that used to bug the hell out of me. And so when I went to college and I was like, yeah, I'm going to be a doctor. And I finally figured out that, yeah, I took anatomy twice and chemistry just wasn't working out. And botany, like I love green things, but there's only so much I can take. Okay. So I switched. And when I made that switch, that was probably the best thing I could have done, because then I got to talk about the philosophy behind why people think the way they do, why they behave the way they do. And it started allowing me to explore and better understand the people around me. So when I say I've been observing people for a long time, trust me, it's been a very long time. I was the queen of reinvention because I was always a new girl in school. And whether people knew it or not, or respected it, or appreciated it, or just completely thought I was crazy and such a nerd, it didn't matter, because I was still watching and learning and observing and absorbing. And I like that. I like watching. So a lot of times, even in new situations, I will listen to the conversation and take into account everyone's point of view before I open my mouth and say something. Because I know from past experience, the minute I open my mouth and say something, it gives people a clue as to who I am and what I'm about. I can be completely ignorant and just ask a stupid question without having listened to the conversation, and they will know I'm stupid and being ignorant because I wasn't paying attention to the conversation. Or I could listen for a while and kind of get a gist of who each of these people in the conversation are and what they're talking about and what they hold important before I open my mouth and say something that's relevant, that adds to the conversation, that doesn't like halt it in its track and everyone look at me like, I'm sorry, you are. So I love those moments. And it's because of those moments, thousands and thousands of those moments, that I feel I excel at being an intuitive coach. Case in point, I was talking to my cousin today. And she's been going through some things for a while this year, because one thing after another has been just popping up. And there was a big trigger early on, and it's affected who she sees herself as in this world, what her place is in the world. It left her reeling, like really just lost. And it wasn't until she really wanted to figure out where it was coming from that she would allow me to actually help. And that came tonight, and I was really pleased and glad that I was able to offer my 2 cents, right? What I found was, as she was speaking, I heard the same situations that she's complained about in the past. Now, I've been talking to her for 2 full years now. And we went back to square one. And I knew it. And I knew it would come back here. But I needed her to see that it came back here. As a coach, I don't want to tell you what's wrong. I would rather show you where to look and you come to that conclusion by yourself, because you'll accept it if you came to that conclusion by yourself. If I tell you right off the bat that this is what's wrong, chances are you're going to fight me and tell me like, no, that's not what's wrong. My ego says that's not what's wrong. You're lying. You're telling me something else. Nope. I need you to see it for yourself. So what I got really good at is showing people what to look for or where to look instead of what to see. I hope that makes sense. So let me try that again, because I don't know if it came out right. I learned to become very good at pointing people in the direction of where to look and not telling them what they should see. Instead of giving them the conclusion, I showed them the path. It's almost like, I don't know if you've seen my Big Fat Greek Wedding, but there was a portion of that movie where the mom is talking to the daughter and she says, yeah, the man is the head of the house, but the woman, she's the neck. She turns the head wherever it needs to look. And it's kind of like that. You may be focused on one particular place in your life. And it's my job, if I can see that it's distracting you from your ultimate goal, to tell you, yeah, but what about over here? You know, in this general direction, not here or here so much as right here. Yeah, okay, that was a Tommy Boy thing. But yeah, that's the whole point. I want to direct your gaze away from what you're focusing on to where I think you need to notice something. And sometimes it's not obvious. Sometimes it's going to take a bit of a conversation to get there. Tonight, it took a bit of a conversation to get there. I needed her to go back through that old pattern she used to tell me about, without telling her it was an old pattern she used to tell me about. I needed her to see that she's doing the same thing she did before. She fell back into a pattern. And finally, when she got the message, she was like, oh, right, okay. I know what to do now that I understand what it is. Before, she was thinking it was a different situation, a different problem. And now, she realizes it's the same problem that it's always been. And where she thought she'd had it handled for a little while, the minute something came and shook her sense of confidence, she fell back into that same pattern. She started listening to certain people around her that would put her down because they needed to feel big. And she'd forget that that's why she was being put down. And she would start blaming herself, and she would start guilt-tripping her own self. And yeah, it was like that. But that's why I like intuitive coaching. Throughout the many conversations I have with each of my clients, I get to know what their tendencies are. I get to know by their tells that they tend to cover certain things up. Certain words they use that cover, kind of like when they talk about their weight, maybe, for example, right? And they will use words like pudgy. And they will use words like slender. They will use certain words that tell me that this particular part of their body is a problem for them. It's the way they speak about themselves. I have a client who doesn't think he's a good father. He doesn't know if he can handle his toddler and the twins that are on the way. He does not have that confidence, and yet he's doing everything he needs to do. And obviously none of us know. There's no handbook out there. There's nothing that tells us this is what you do and this is what you get. Nope. Each kid is different. And then twins, you got two personalities to deal with. But it's the way he speaks about himself that I know that he's worried and he's scared. But he's done it already once with a toddler. And that toddler is a very happy toddler. So if that isn't a shining example of success in his life, I don't know what is. I have another client, and he's kind of in hiding from me at the moment because he's not ready to face me again. And it's not that I did anything bad. It's just that he didn't like what I told him the last time. And that's okay. But it's my job. I'm not supposed to coddle you. I'm not supposed to make you feel good all the time. Because if you feel good all the time with your coach, that means there's no room for growth. You already got it all. I'm not your cheerleader in the fact that I'm like, yeah, great, awesome, great job. Nope. I'm more like your halftime coach. I need to tell you like it is. And I need to tell you that you still have it in you and that you still got plenty of life left and you just need to go out there and do it. Like you know this backwards and forwards. You know what to do. Go out there and do it. So I love being an intuitive coach. So with this one client, right, who has been avoiding me lately, I know that he loves his wife very much. And even though they've decided to separate, I think there is a part of him that needs to deal with how he feels in his marriage because his wife is strong and independent and very capable on her own, that he needs to figure out what his place is within that relationship. And I get the impression a lot when I talk to men that they don't know how to operate if they're not the savior, if they're not the hero in that household. They don't know how to share that cape. And that's what we're meant to do, right? We're supposed to share that cape. Sometimes I have the cape. And then if I had a husband, he should be wearing the cape sometimes. I need to be rescued sometimes. And he needs to be rescued sometimes. And that doesn't make each of us any less of a human within that relationship. But I think somehow he started comparing himself to his wife. And it made him feel like less of an accomplished man. And so the way he speaks about her, the words he chooses to describe her, tells me everything I need to know. I had a client who for a while, in several of our sessions, would refer to his wife as the wife. And I called him on it and I said, why are you talking about your wife like the wife? And I know that's like a colloquialism, right? But he's working through some issues from a situation that happened long ago, as in several years ago, that he's still having trouble reconciling. And that's okay. But I'm supposed to be your confidant. I'm supposed to be that person you can tell anything to. Right? So when you refer to her as the wife, I'm going to ask you, well, what's your wife's name? You've never actually told me your wife's name. Oh, Karima. And I was like, all right, well, why didn't you, mention that before? Oh, I didn't think it was, important. I said, well, of course it is, because it tells me how you feel about her, the way you refer to her. See, if I don't know these things and I can't pick up on them, I can't be effective as a coach. I need to notice all of these things, which means I need to have had thousands of conversations where I've watched and listened and heard differences. Maybe your tone changes when you say certain things. Maybe it's the words you choose. Maybe it's the things you're not telling me that I can tell you're not telling me. I don't want to tell you what to see. I need you to discover it for yourself, because then it sticks with you longer. It's almost like, why do men not ask for directions? Because they want to feel like they know what they're doing. Why do I not ask for help? Because I want to feel like I can do it by myself, obviously. It affects my ego if I let it. So sometimes, yeah, I fall into that rut too. I'm human. But most days, I get close to it and I'm like, nah, nope, I need help. I need to ask. And it's fine. I don't blow up in smoke. I don't, melt into a puddle on the floor. I'm fine. It's good. Life gets easier. It's less pressure on me. So, if you need help, go ask. If you need space, just ask. If you miss someone, just say it out loud. Stop mincing words. Intuition isn't just for coaches. Intuition is for all of us. It happens to all of us if we start listening to who we are. The problem is we think too much. I was reading a quote from A.A. Milne about Winnie the Pooh, something to the effect of, they were talking about Rabbit and how clever Rabbit was, and he really has brains, and he knows, a lot. And Pooh said, well, yeah, he's clever, he has brain, but perhaps that's why he doesn't understand anything. He overthinks everything, right? He overshoots the problem. He plans and plans and plans, and things still don't go right. Sometimes we think too much. Sometimes we need to go with our gut. So again, if you need help, ask. And if it doesn't work out, great, it doesn't work out, but at least you asked. Intuitive coaching works for me because I've done this a long time. And maybe not all of that time was for money either, but I've done this a long time. I've helped passersby. I've stood in the driveway of a hotel working the lobby basically, and helped people in line at the taxi queue who happened to join the line and be in tears. I've helped a lot of people. I don't know if they changed their lives or not, but I know I changed their day. And that's good enough for me. I'm here. I'm available. I'm open for business. If you need my intuition because you just can't seem to see your way out of something, ask. I would love to have a conversation with you. I would love to share my experience, or at least give you a new perspective to consider. Because, honestly speaking, the goal is to change your day. The rest is up to you. I hope that helps. I'll talk to you guys soon. Night.